This is just for speakers. I think we've got a reserved row up here for you. I think. It is. Testing. Testing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the formal program in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Thanks for sparing me from that. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? We're enjoying this weather. We couldn't have picked a nicer day, right? It's fantastic. We really lucked out. Thank you again for being here. My name is Lauren Magana. I am the manager of the Caltrans Stormwater Public Education Campaign. I'm excited to be here to talk about the Stormwater program and its importance to both the state of California and specifically the East Bay. We have several important speakers lined up, including Caltrans Chief Deputy Director Mike Keever, Berkeley Mayor Jesse Araguin, Chair of the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board Jim Mcgrath, Caltrans District 4 Senior Transportation Engineer Brian Rowley, and Chair of the Contra Costa Clean Water Program, Melinda Harris. Also in attendance, we're glad to have District Director Audrey Momeau from the Office of Senator Skinner and Stella Greiler from Assemblymember Wick's office. Thank you for joining us. Before we dive in, I'll give you a little bit of background about Stormwater and the campaign. The Stormwater campaign, Let's Change This to That, aims to raise awareness and increase understanding of the sources and pathways of stormwater pollution here in California. The campaign provides resources online at cleanwaterca.com. That's cleanwaterca.com. And throughout all of our community outreach, partnerships, and other methods for those who live, work, and play in California's unique communities to spur behavior change in a way that leads to improved water quality. You may be aware that as stormwater travels into storm drains, it captures pollutants from highways, streets, sidewalks, and yards, and is directly deposited into waterways, along with all of the contaminants. These pollutants have a big effect on water quality, especially during times of drought. Now, you may be thinking, there's not much rain in the forecast during the summer months. Why should we care? Well, that's a good question. The summer season is one of the most important times to talk about stormwater pollution. More Californians are traveling during that time, enjoying community open spaces and waterways more than any other time of year. In addition, California is expected to continue experiencing drought conditions, which means the state's lakes, rivers, and streams have lower water levels. Less water leads to a higher concentration of pollutants. By preventing a buildup of pollutants on highways and roadways now, we can keep them from washing into our waterways during the first rain of the fall season. And that's why it's so important for Californians to understand more about stormwater pollution and the ways they can help address it. Today, we're realizing a list of 6 key pollutants in each water board region across the state that have outsized impact on water quality in our state. The key pollutants are trash and litter, sediment, nutrients, bacteria, metals, and pesticides. We're also calling on all Californians to partner with us to help take action this summer and always to help stop pollutants from running into our waterways and storm drains. Examples of ways that people can prevent stormwater pollution include properly securing items in truck beds, putting trash and recycling in the bin, avoiding over-fertilizing lawns and plants, picking up after your pets, regularly maintaining vehicles to prevent leaks and spills. Doing all of this, even though they're small changes, you can have a really, really big impact on stormwater. This can also make a difference in the East Bay, and it can make a difference in communities statewide. The Let's Change This to That campaign, as you can see the creative up here, we're releasing new advertising with a regional and localized focus to help inspire constituents in those areas to hopefully want to protect those areas in their own backyard. We're also working with local partners, including many that are here today, to further this message. We're calling on everyone to please help do their part and pledge to keep waterways clean this summer. You can learn more about our pledge and campaign at cleanwaterca.com. Again, that's cleanwaterca.com. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Mike Keever, Caltrans Chief Deputy Director.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren, and good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to talk about this important topic, about stormwater pollution. And what a beautiful, fantastic day to do this. And it really accentuates why we're here as we look at the backdrop of the San Francisco Bay right behind me. We're reminded of all the communities that live here, that recreate here, that their lives revolve around this water body, where they live and they work and they play. Waterways in our state belong to us all. It's incumbent upon each of us to do our part to keep these waters clean and ensure that the bay and all the other waterways of this state remain swimmable and drinkable and fishable. And that must include keeping our highways and our roadways clean. This responsibility rests with every individual that uses our roadways. Caltrans, the people that you see here in the orange shirts, they have the difficult and the dangerous task of cleaning up the litter and abatement across the state. And we ask that you consider that when you're driving on the highways in California. Caltrans, the people that are out there every day on the front lines, they maintain 350,000 acres. That's over 500 square miles of Caltrans right-of-way. They maintain over 15,000 centerline miles. And our team manages stormwater runoff and mitigates pollution from our highways and roadways. You may have seen Caltrans on the side of the road, picking up litter, clearing out the storm drains, and working hard to prioritize the roadway safety and drivability during all types of weather conditions. Doing this work effectively and with a focus on Caltrans' environmental and sustainability goals, this helps provide a vital and absolute necessity for everyone in the state, clean water. It's been a long-time priority of the department, as shown through several of our past prior public education contracts. But there's more that we can be done, and we've talked about some of that prior to this press event. We must stop pollutants at the source. But doing that requires the help and support of every Californian. It is important to remember that California's water is plagued by the 6 key pollutants that Lauren just spoke of. And Brian of our Caltrans team will go into more detail in just a moment. But trash and litter top that list. Often the most littered items are small: cigarette butts, food wrappers, bottle caps, and more, but these can break down and release toxins and other pollutants into our waterways. And since the start of the pandemic in 2020, the number of single-use masks has exponentially increased on our roadways. These items can often be traced back to individual actions in improper disposal, which means individual actions in proper disposal can make all of the difference. Piece by piece, this trash tarnishes California's beautiful landscape, land and water that belongs to us all. This is why this California Stormwater Public Education campaign is so important. Caltrans is working to educate Californians on the impact each person can have on water quality and the simple adjustments they can make to make a big difference. Some small actions include properly disposing of trash and tarping and securing truck bed loads, regularly maintaining your vehicle to prevent fluid leaks, simple things like maintaining proper air pressure to avoid unnecessary wear and the release of metals from your tires and brakes, and picking up after your pets. In partnership with many of you here today, we're working to increase awareness and stimulate real change in our communities, because all Californians deserve clean water, and all Californians play an important role in keeping it that way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Next, I'd like to bring up the chair of the San Francisco Bay Area Regional Water Quality Control Board, Mr. Jim Mcgrath.
You know, I'm kind of gobsmacked. Caltrans talking about stewardship. Let's give them a hand. This is a really nice day to be here. It's a really nice place. I'll give you a little backdrop. About 3.5 years ago, my board adopted a cease and desist order against Caltrans for not making significant progress in trash. And I'm going to give a shout out to 2 people that aren't here, but you need to recognize. One is Dina Eltawansi, who's now the district director, and the other is Kristen Peer, who I don't believe is in the food chain in the Newsom administration, but was. And they changed the narrative. They changed the narrative and the culture so that Caltrans takes responsibility. I also want to give a shout out to Newsom, because money started coming to deal with this problem. And so those combinations, money, collaboration, and dealing with the homeless in an eventual and slow way as sources are essential. This is another part of it, the public education. I'm one of the chief regulators. I know the regulatory business, but I'm also smart enough to know that nothing happens strictly from regulation. Particularly those things that require funding. So a big chunk of money came. Caltrans started working with cities to cooperatively design things that would solve trash. And they're actually talking the talk. So I don't have to talk about contaminants except remind them that PCBs are a big deal too. But this kind of approach is just wonderful, and the public education is part of it. Now we're going to ask for more. In the long term, this area is going to be subject to sea level rise, and we're going to have to work together collaboratively to figure out how to resolve that. Caltrans has a key role in that, because at the mouth of many of our flashy creeks, there's a culvert that goes under the freeway. And eventually those are going to need to be replaced. And we're going to have a vision for doing that that is collaborative and that solves multi-purposes. We don't have to do it instantly, but I think the signs of moving to a collaborative arrangement. And then I just want to shout out, this is where I play almost every day. 140 days last year in the Bay. I've run into trash at 30 miles an hour on my windsurfer. It's not fun. It doesn't end well. So this is a great day. Thank you all.
Thanks, sir. I don't think we can have a better partner than Jim Mcgrath, who is actually using the beautiful bay as we see it out here behind us. So thank you again, Jim. We're really happy you could be here with us today. Next up, I'm going to introduce Caltrans District 4 Senior Transportation Engineer Brian Rowley. Brian.
Oh, took my sunglasses off. Oh, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Brian Rowley. I'm a Senior Transportation Engineer with Caltrans District 4 in Oakland. And for those who may not know, Caltrans is comprised of 12 districts statewide in addition to headquarters in Sacramento. The districts are the regional hubs and primarily have the charge of delivering projects and maintaining the operations of the transportation infrastructure. District 4 includes the 9 counties of the Bay Area with over 6,500 lane miles of roadway, and believe it or not, there are over 50,000 lane miles in California. With all those lane miles, there's a lot to manage, but we're doing that with an environment-forward perspective. In fact, Caltrans' mission is to provide a safe and reliable transportation network that serves all people and respects the environment. Part of that work is to address pollutant pathways in order to minimize or eliminate pollutants in our waterways. This campaign focuses on 6 key pollutants found in stormwater that we can tackle together at home or on the job. So why focus on stormwater pollutants? Like other speakers have mentioned, simply put, stormwater runoff touches all parts of our lives, even if we're aware or can see it or not. Fortunately, here in the Bay Area, there's a lot of heart. There really is a lot of heart to take care of our natural and built environments. And really, that's why we're here today, to help individuals understand these 6 key pollutants and share ways to prevent them at the source. Learning about stormwater and the pollutants that affect water quality really is the first step to meaningful change. So, let's change this to that. Well, you may wonder, what can any of us do? Well, it has been alluded by my co-speakers here. We really want to be conscious members of our community and make those simple changes that we can. And believe it or not, simple changes by aggregate really can have a great benefit. Though after the speaker segment is complete, I encourage you to stop by the display table to see some examples of sources of common pollutants that are found here in the Bay Area, and to think collectively changing our thinking to pollutant sources and how they affect our watersheds really can lead to improved conditions for our greater environment. We want to ensure waterways like our local creek, streams, the bay, where our kids play, where local wildlife live, where businesses thrive, really do remain clean for generations to come. With Caltrans, our partners, and most importantly, the public working together, we can do more to improve the health of our local waterways. Speaking of, we are grateful for the support and contributions of our incredible partners, some of which are here today. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoy the event. And again, we'll be available to answer any questions after the speakers. Thank you very much.
We are very privileged and honored to have someone who takes care of this area every day and has absolutely its best interests at heart. I'd like to introduce you to Berkeley Mayor Arreguin. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all for being here on this beautiful day here at the Berkeley waterfront. And I want to just first thank Governor Newsom, who's made cleaning our highways and state property a top priority. and the state legislature for their investment they made over these past few years. And thank Caltrans. I often get calls from constituents around the condition of our state right-of-way. And while we all have a collective responsibility, local government, state government, we as individuals have a responsibility to keep our state clean. So I'm really appreciative of this campaign that Caltrans is launching today. And here at the Berkeley Marina, the view behind me, I think, underscores the importance of the initiative that's being launched today. The bay is something that we cannot take for granted. And we know that increasingly trash and debris ends up in our bay, harming our marine wildlife, polluting our bay. And we must take efforts, not only as government leaders, but as private citizens to stop that from happening. And that's why it's vital that we come together to address stormwater pollution and the threat that it poses to the lifeblood of our community, our clean water. Our community relies on our bay every single day to live, to work, to play. It's a major artery for our region, and so we must take steps to protect it. And Berkeley has been a leader on environmental sustainability issues, and we do not take that position lightly, particularly on the issue of addressing stormwater pollution and runoff. In 2019, we were the first city in the United States to pass an ordinance to ban single-use disposable foodware, oftentimes which ends up on our highways and ends up in our waterways and is a major pollutant. I'm sure many of us have seen the videos of the significant amount of trash that we see in the Pacific Ocean and the impacts that has on marine wildlife. But also we're taking efforts upstream through bioswales and bioremediation to capture pollutants, capture trash, and to reduce the pollution of our waterways. But despite these efforts that we've taken to protect and preserve the bay, its ecosystem is at risk by human activities and the threat of climate change. And we remain committed to do what we can to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change, to create resilient infrastructure and protect the ecosystem of our bay. And so we must all do our part to ensure that the bay and our local waterways are clean for future generations. Partnerships like this between our residents, Caltrans, and cities like Berkeley are critically important to successfully address the important challenges of stormwater pollution. And this includes making conscious decisions to stop pollutants from getting into our waterway and traveling down our storm drains at all points of the day. So whether we're commuting to work, working in the yard, visiting our local park, we all make choices that protect the bay and keep our water clean. That includes our responsibility to pick up after ourselves, to maintain our yards and public spaces. And I think we all have a responsibility to do our part to protect this incredible jewel that we've been gifted, our bay and our state. So let's all do our part to keep our water clean this summer and always. And thank you once again to Caltrans for launching this public information campaign.
Thank you, Mayor again. Last, I'd like to bring up a great partner of ours, Chair of the Contra Costa Clean Water Program PIP Committee, Melinda Harris.
Thank you for having me. I'm Melinda Harris, Chair of the Contra Costa Clean Water Program and Public Information and Participation Committee. I'm glad to be here to speak to you today regarding a very important issue that's affecting my community, and that is stormwater pollution. I echo all the voices that were shared today. Residences, business, and industries can and must work together with cities to help keep pollution out of our water bodies. This issue greatly impacts the quality of life in Contra Costa and in neighboring neighborhoods. Little things like pet waste, cigarette butts, and other litter adds up and can have a profound effect on our daily lives. That is why we are committed to partnering with the Caltrans Stormwater Public Education Campaign to educate members of the Contra Costa community on how we may prevent stormwater pollution. There are things we can do as individuals to help stop pollutants at the source. For example, one simple step to prevent pollution is to always pick up and properly dispose of pet waste. Remember to trash it and bag it. Don't leave it for your neighbor to clean up or for the next storm to wash it down the storm drain. That's how harmful bacteria enters our local waterways. In the last few years, Contra Costa residents have dumped thousands of gallons of motor oil into our storm drains. Did you know that just 1 quart of motor oil can contaminate up to 1 million gallons of fresh water? That's a year's supply of water that could go to 50 people. Used motor oil contains toxic chemicals and heavy metals that stick to everything from beach sand to bird feathers. It's a major pollutant contaminant to our drinking water sources. Here's how you can help. You can ensure pollutants stay out of the water storm drain systems, creeks, bays, and ocean by using a sealed container to take used motor oil, antifreeze, filters, and fluids to a gas station or an approved oil recycling facility. So you see, small changes to everyday behaviors can make a real difference, leading to better drinking water, better fishing and boating, and better quality of life for all. Let's do our part for clean water. Let's change this to that.
That was fantastic. Just want to point over here, our new creative. We mentioned it earlier, but I just wanted to run through that quickly for you. On the very left-hand side, we've got creative that'll be running down in the Fresno-Bakersfield area. This is your typical urban scene that you'll see in Fresno-Bakersfield. Next to that, iconic LA imagery that'll be running down in Southern California, palm trees, etc. In the middle, I don't think I have to tell anyone who's here where that is, but Golden Gate Bridge and the area leading up to the Golden Gate Bridge. Next to that, a typical river scene in our Sacramento Valley area. And on the far right is a beach scene that'll be running down in San Diego. Just after this piece of our press conference, we invite everyone to come over to our displays. We've got 2 truck beds that, interestingly enough, have 14 cubic yards of litter and debris that was just collected over the last 2 days in this surrounding area by our team led by Dave Ambuel in District 4 here in the Bay Area. So we want to give our maintenance teams a huge shout out for the important and dangerous work that they do on a daily basis. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you so much for all of your help. You're our unheralded heroes, and we want to make sure that you get credit where credit's due. So thank you again for all your help. We also have another bed of items that were brought, such as a large bumper, some coolers, and other things that have been discarded, probably from truck beds that weren't secured properly. So one of our notes is we want to make sure that everyone knows how to secure those loads so nothing's flying out. We're hoping that you take an opportunity as well to visit our table where we've got some of our little items for you to take home with you. Also, if you're on social media, please follow us at Caltrans HQ. That's Caltrans HQ on both Twitter and Facebook. For all of this information and for more, please help us spread the word at cleanwaterca.com. I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to spend this time with us. We hope that you will continue to help us spread the word. And thank you again for being here today. Give yourselves a hand. Thank you very much.